Good morning guys. So as I'm sure many of you know, sometimes vocabulary learning can just be such a chore, and I wanted to share with you today a way that I learn my vocabulary in a creative and fun way using post-it notes. So yeah, no, I found a really cool method because the more we see and use a phrase, the easier it is for our brain to store it in our memory, and the easier it makes it for us to recall it. And post-it notes are a really cheap way to do this. I mean, they cost pretty much next to nothing, and if you really don't want to go out and buy post-it notes, then you can just grab a piece of paper. But honestly, it's worth it. Just buy them. They come in these little squares, they come in all different types of colours, and I'm going to show you right now how I use them to learn my vocabulary. So like many of you language learners, I'm always looking for fun and creative ways to learn vocabulary. And one thing I've used in the past and I've found to be useful again is using sticky notes. And I find them to not only be effective because, as you can see, they're colourful and pretty to look at, but because the more you see a word or a phrase, the easier it is for you to recall it later on and just be able to use it. And that's essentially what we're all trying to do. So I'm going to show you how I use sticky notes. If you just have plain yellow ones, they're also fine, but I like to have different colours because I'm a very visual learner and I love using colours. That's another thing I'll show you. For example, when I write out a text in Russian, I love to draw pictures and use colours to denote different things. Yeah, and I'll show you a bit about that later. The first thing I would say is just take maybe 6 to 10 words. 10 is stretching it a little bit, but I would say 6 difficult words, or just ones that are giving you a bit of trouble, and write them down. So I've used my colours in terms of whether they're feminine, masculine or neuter. And for example, with světit solnce, just means the sun is shining. That's a pretty easy phrase in itself. But with a word like okolo, write the translation, and then I write a little sentence with how I would use the word, especially because of Russian having all of its different cases. Yeah. So, for example, this was a text I found on LinkU, and I read it out and I underlined the things that I specifically, or the sentences that were specifically difficult for me, with a yellow underline. I drew a picture for the whole text, which puts everything into one context, and it's sort of like grouping all these words and phrases into one big box and connecting them with each other. Then, for example, I took words which I knew were not simple for me to remember. So, for example, derevo did not remind me of anything to do with a tree. So what I do is I take my green card and I draw a picture of a tree. Actually, one thing that came to mind just then is derevo in Spanish is like a root. So making that link also helps you remember that derevo is a tree. And then I write down the word. And there you go. And afterwards I will take this and just stick it on my wall somewhere. Then what I normally do is double check the pronunciation again.
Derevo.
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 Derevo. Until I get it. So obviously sticky notes are really good when we're at home, but when we're on the go or during the day, I like to use flashcards. So a really good app that I use is Quizlet. This is what the app looks like, and you can use it for different languages. And right now I'm making a list for those words. Хорошая погода. So all of the ones that I want to revise, I'll write out in this list and then use the flashcards when I'm on the go. As I said, the more you see a word, the more you use it, the easier it is for you to recall it and make it stick in your memory. And the good thing about Quizlet is it pronounces the things for you as well with actual accent. So we click on here.
Солнце.
Солнце. That's the sun. Yeah, so I just think it's a really awesome tool, and it tests you as well. You have different games you can play, and I think it's just a really cool method.